Yo, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Sedrick, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And I tell you, today has been an absolutely amazing day. It's a beautiful Sunday, it's a fall day. My wife's working and the kids are off doing things for preparing for Halloween celebrations. It's just been me, and so I had the opportunity to drive over to a local park and take a walk and just take in the beauty of the changing of the colors on the trees and the crisp air. Had my sweatshirt on, it was a little brisk, but man, it just was so much fun. In fact, I was trying to record the podcast there, but I couldn't quite get the audio to work the way that I wanted. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take the time to bask in the season. Took some time to walk and pray, meditate, to ponder about this week. And it just was a great experience to enjoy this season. And it got me thinking about how important it is for each of us to enjoy the different seasons that we move through in life. Somebody asked me, you know, are you sad that your kids are leaving the house? I'm like, no, no, I'm actually really excited. And the reason why is because I have embraced and enjoyed every single season with my kids, from being an infant to a toddler to going to elementary school to moving into middle school and doing their sports and into high school. The seasons of volleyball and basketball and cross country and jazz and music and choir. There's so many little mini seasons within a bigger season. And I think a lot of times we get so busy trying to just do life that we don't embrace life. We don't enjoy the seasons. We don't, even though sometimes a season can be extremely challenging and we're just trying to get through it. When's the last time we looked at a challenging season and said, you know what do I need to learn through this? What do I need to become? And so I've really embraced and enjoyed every season. And I would invite you to do that. Now I look at my kids and they're all moving out of the house or exploring careers and pursuing going to college, and they're just trying to figure out who they want to be, what they want to do, what they want to become with the gifts that God's given them. And it's so exciting to witness that and to be a part. Now it's like I'm in the season of being a counselor and an advocate and a fan, but also allowing them the space and the grace to move, to explore, to make their own decisions, to become who they want to be and who maybe God intended to be, that they could be based on the gifts that they've been given. So embrace the season that you're in, even if it's a little cold. So I thought today that I would share three experiences that I had with you guys this week that have really re-emphasized to me the importance of being a good father, to be being a good father figure when that opportunity arises, to step up and become a better man and a better husband. But most importantly, I wanted to talk about the importance of being a good dad, of being the father figure that some of these kids who do not have dads in their life need and are yearning for and looking for. And they're looking for somebody like you to be that man. This week, my partner Rod and I had the opportunity to travel to Morganton, North Carolina, to visit a longtime friend and a customer, Jamie Buchanan. And I love him. He's got such a big, fun, loving personality. He loves life. He's so grateful and encouraging. And he just loves people. And it's intoxicating in a good way of being around him. He makes you feel so good and alive. Years ago, when I first met him, I came to Morganton by myself, and I was able to spend a couple days in his shop as well as spend a couple evenings at his house with this family. And I was always really impressed with the dynamic and the energy and the love and the fun in his home and the unity that he and his wife, Morgan, have. And it just was really powerful. And I remember watching him with his kids. You know, he had a son and a daughter, and another boy there that I thought was his son. And later I was talking to him. He's like, he goes, "No, that's actually not our son. That's Caleb, and he has become part of our family." I mean, he lives with us, he has dinner with us, he goes to all of the events, he goes on vacation. We've just kind of adopted him. He goes, and it's kind of sad because, you know, a couple years prior, his father had decided that there were things in life that he wanted to pursue. And so he made the unfortunate decision to abandon his wife and his three kids. And seeing the need of this family, he and his wife became an integral part of supporting this lady who'd been left with three kids, and really did everything they could to rally around her. And Jamie became basically the father figure of this young man and this young boy and his siblings. And over the years, you know, not only did he bring him into his home, but he became very involved in his school, his sporting events, went to, you know, his practices, brought him into his business, taught him how to detail cars, and basically brought him in as, you know, a member of the family. And, you know, now fast forward to this past week, you know, I step in and this young man, he's just such a good, positive force in Jamie's life and in his business. And I'm working with him one on one, and I'm talking, you know, I'm teaching him, you know, different aspects of the software that they will be able to leverage for new opportunities that are really exciting on the horizon for them. And so I was riding over there training him. And as I was visiting with him, he actually said, he goes, "I really want to make this successful because I see that we need it in our business. And I'm so invested in doing whatever I can to pay back what Jamie's given me." He goes, "I can never ever repay what Jamie has done for me and my family other than be invested in giving back to him and his family, because he has made me part of his family, and I want him to be successful, and I want us to be successful together." And it really made me sit back and go, you know what? Here is a young man that had the blessing of having a man come into his life who was invested in him, who was invested in not only making sure that he was successful and had the opportunities that could have been taken from him because of the loss of his father. Here's a man that came in and said, you know what? I'm going to make this young man, this young boy, feel loved, admired, respected, valued. And I'm not going to let the decisions of somebody that abandoned him cripple him and hold him back if I can make a difference on his life. And Jamie has been all in on this. I mean, all in. And like I said, you would even never even know that he wasn't his kid if he didn't tell you, because they are that tight and they are that invested. And it really reemphasized to me the importance of good men in these kids' lives, whether they're, you know, very young or in high school or on the edge out. You know, they are looking for somebody that will believe in them, that will encourage them, that will challenge them, that will say, you know what, you're better than the road that you're starting to go down. Maybe if we make some different choices, I can help you navigate these troubled waters. And it really just watching Jamie with Caleb really brought home to me the power of how one man can have a huge impact on a child's life. And sometimes it just requires us to step in, to step up and be the man that these kids need. The second experience that I had was very intimate. It was very tender. My business partner came to me before we took the trip. He said, "Hey, Jody, my daughter's really been struggling. Her and her boyfriend have had a really tough year, as they've moved to North Carolina, struggling with job and some health issues, and just the whole challenge of making a big leap and a big move as a couple. And he goes, do you mind if I extend? I'm like, dude, take the whole weekend. It's critical that you take that opportunity to spend time with your daughter, especially since we're already going to be in the neighborhood. Because no, I really appreciate it. And a day should be good. So he told his daughter, he said, hey, just want to let you know on Thursday, I need you to be home because I have a delivery coming to you that requires you to be on site to pick it up because it's perishable. So she just assumed it was apples or something like that because she's a big fan of apples. So on Thursday, we call her up and said, hey, just want to let you know the delivery's on its way. You need to be there. And she goes, oh, man. And she just started unloading. She said, oh, Dad, I'm so excited. It's so good to hear your voice. I had a really rough night last night. I didn't sleep. I'm just really weighed down by what's going on. And he's like, hey, sweetheart, I really want to talk to you, but I'm just heading into something. Can I call you right back? And you could tell she was disappointed that he had to go. She was trying to hold on to that phone call, but we're trying to get there. And so he's like, and he kind of felt bad for hanging up on her, but he got her off the phone, and then we finished the 3-mile drive over to her house, and we got out of the car, and he said, hey, Jody, I want you to record this. He gave me his camera. And so he walked up to the porch and pretending like he's holding this bag of delivery, had his hat tucked over his eyes so she couldn't see exactly who it was. And then he knocked on the door, and she opened the door, and then he lifted his hat up. And man, she's like, she just burst out into tears, and she's yelling at her boyfriend to get the dogs so that she can open the dogs. The dogs are yapping. They're so excited to see Rod. And finally she gets the door open. She just comes out and just falls into Rod's arms. And it was such a tender, sweet moment as she just broke down and started sobbing in his arms, great big tears of joy and happiness and of relief. She's like, Daddy, you don't know how much I missed you. Oh man. And it was just such a tender moment. And she's an adult, right? And so we go into the house, and they're kind of talking, and then she just falls into his arm again and just starts crying. And here I am, a witness. I'm a little fly on the wall watching this tender moment between a dad and his daughter. I mean, here was a man that, he's like, he made time to come see a daughter who had become homesick and was yearning to see and feel and hug her dad. I think a lot of times we as men, and we've been conditioned, especially in America, that, hey, when you're 18, you're an adult, go off, fly, go figure it out, right? And what I've learned is that while your kids are moving from childhood into adulthood, they still need you. Even when they're adults, they still need your strength, your advice, your love, your encouragement. Sometimes they just need your presence. And Renee said, she goes, yeah, I've been so homesick, and I wasn't sure when I was going to see you guys again. And with the weight of everything going on, to have Daddy come home, to come to her it gave her so much strength, gave her so much confidence. And, I quietly, after they hugged, I'm like, I excused myself and I said, you know what, you guys go enjoy the day. I'm going to the airport. And I drove to the airport. And it made me, as I was thinking back on, watching this beautiful interaction with Rod and his daughter, it made me realize that no matter what age you are or your children are, your kids still need you. I thought about the time when about 6 years ago, my father passed away, but that spring before he passed away, I had to take a business trip, and I made the same decision that Rod did. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna extend my trip a couple days, and I'm just gonna go drive down from St. Louis, and I'm gonna spend a couple days with my dad. And I went down there, and my dad literally was, not in a healthy situation. He had 80 foot of oxygen connected to his nose to an oxygen tank, and he could barely move from one room to the other without being utterly exhausted. But we sat there in that living room and in the kitchen, and we had bologna sandwiches together, and we laughed, and we talked about my kids. We talked about my wife. We talked about my siblings. We talked about my dad's aspirations and dreams and what he had hoped to accomplish as a father. And it was just a beautiful 2 days. And I'm so grateful that I took the time. I will forever be grateful that I took the time to spend those 2 days with my dad, because they were days that I needed. While my dad was not in the greatest of health, I needed his strength. I needed his love. I needed his words of encouragement. I needed to express to him that I loved him. And I think a lot of times we miss opportunities to spend time with our kids, both when they're young and even when they're older, and embracing those moments and refortifying and re-engaging and keeping that relationship strong and building on that relationship even as they move through life, until ultimately, one or both of us pass away. Which leads me to my third story. As I said, I left Rod and Renee to enjoy the day with them, and I drove to the Raleigh airport. And when I got to the Raleigh airport, I strolled up to my gate and just barely sat down. And a member from the USO came out and made a big announcement. He said, "Hey, can I please have your attention? We want to let you know that on the plane that is coming in," which just happened to be my plane, "we have a fallen soldier. And so we have the honor guard here. They will be going out and with the family to get the remains of this fallen soldier to put into a hearse and then take off to the cemetery." Um, and as I was standing there with everybody else that was at that gate, we all gathered at the window to watch this scene unfold. And it was everybody in the entire gate was quiet. They were reverent. They were respectful. They were, putting their arms around each other. And as we watched, the honor guard started walking out. The lady said, "Yeah, look, the guy in the blue shirt, that's the boy's father." And I'm watching as this honor guard goes out, the father with his wife goes out, and he has his arm tenderly around his wife. And they pull this coffin out that's draped in the American flag. And there was so much respect and love and deference and reverence for the bringing home of a fallen soldier. It was so humbling. It was just amazing. And as I sat there watching the father hold his wife and trying to comfort her, to find the strength to comfort her as he himself is mourning the loss of his son, I thought about what were the feelings that were going through this father, as he watched his son come off that plane, come home draped in the American flag. How he must have felt sorrow, but he also must have felt pride and honor and respect for the sacrifice of his son, which ultimately was a tribute to him as a father and to her, his mother, as they brought home their boy. And even in the death, I could see that the strength and the love of that father was continuing to extend to his son. It was continuing to extend to his family who were around him. All of us move through seasons of our life. Some of us have the strength and power of having a father consistently in our home. Others have not been so fortunate. They've been blessed with a mother who has had the fortitude to lean into her kids, to work 3 jobs to make it happen. And there have been men that have come into her life to be the father figure, the coach, the youth pastor, the teacher, who have invested in themselves to make this young boy, this young girl feel loved, to feel valued. Men, I would encourage every single one of us to lean into the responsibility of being a father, of being a good husband if you're married. Guys, I know we don't have all the answers, but what we do have is our strength, our love, our commitment, our determination, our support, our admiration. Those things are what your kid needs more than anything else. They need you. They need you. Just like I needed my dad in his remaining months, just like my business partner needed her, his daughter needed him, just like Caleb needed a father figure to step in and invest in him, and just like that fallen soldier needed a dad who was standing there in honor and love and respect and admiration for the sacrifice that he had given. We need you men to be men of integrity, to be men who are invested in their children. I hope that some of the things that I've shared with you today, that one of the stories will spark something in your heart to ignite the fire within you to become a better husband, to become a better father. We need men in the home, but we don't need to just be a placeholder. We need you to be an active force in the betterment and the building up of your family. And that betterment and that building of your family is all built upon love. The question is, can you love your kids enough to forget yourself and love them with a pure heart, with an intensity that will let them know that they are loved by you? Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope, like I said, some of these thoughts might have penetrated your heart. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we will check you same time, same bat channel, just next week, right here on Father's Fire. See ya.